Hi, I'm Daniel, I'm 19, and oh yeah, I live in my own house. Now, I'm not trying to brag about that. Obviously, I'm very happy and proud that I've been able to do that, but ultimately, I'm just grateful that I've been given the opportunity to be able to rent a place like this. But today I'm gonna be answering for you, who am I? How did I do this? And why would I even want to when I had such a good setup at home with my parents? Well, firstly, I wanna say, welcome to my new office, my new creative studio space, my desk. This is where I come up with all the new different creative ideas and different things that I can bring you in video form. And welcome to this new series, My World. This is gonna be a series where I can do anything. I can talk about stories, I can discuss things, I can give my opinion. I want to be able to give you my perspective on how I see the world and how I think about certain topics. And today we're talking about why the hell I decided to move out at 19. Now, I don't actually think it's a huge deal to move out at 19. Plenty of people do it, and unfortunately a lot of people who do it have to because they get kicked out or they don't have anywhere else to go. So before I even give my reasoning, if you're gonna praise anyone, praise those people who had to make it themselves without any support or help. But to understand why I decided to move out, you need to understand a few things. And firstly, I've always been a very independent person. I've had a job since I was 14. I always made time to work and earn money. I remember when I was in year 10 and 11, I would leave work at 11, sometimes even midnight, come home. Sometimes I'd walk home, I'd get an Uber home. I would sort myself out. And that's not because my parents left me to my own devices. They would have been happy to oblige, but they also understood that if I wanted to be independent, I was gonna do that. A lot of the independence that I've had and that I've made for myself, I wasn't doing because I had to, I was doing because I wanted to. And if you're different from that, if you don't want to give up that support, say if you're 20 or you're 25 and you haven't moved out yet, that's totally fine. This isn't supposed to be judging anyone who hasn't decided to make that move. Now, the second thing you need to understand is that I am definitely more of a worker and a doer than a studier. A lot of people my age, at the age of 19, 20, they're studying at university. They're spending 20, 30 hours a week studying, they're doing tests, they're traveling to university. I don't do that. I don't study. I did last year, I did film, and there are a lot of reasons as to why I left, but ultimately I think it comes down to independence. I didn't want to be told how to discover my own voice in filmmaking. Being able to do this and being able to do client work has really allowed me to teach myself and learn what I am better at and how to properly portray my voice on film. And because I don't have to spend X amount of hours each week studying, I can afford to work. I work about 25 hours a week, and that's obviously how I can afford to move out and live on my own. Well, my girlfriend lives here too, and she does most of the work, so I'm definitely not on my own. And look, even the work that I do is geared more towards independence. I'm a support worker for people who have disabilities, and that is a very one-on-one job. You work with the clients. There's not a whole lot of reporting back to a boss. I do that kind of stuff, but it's not nearly as much of the job as is just dealing one-on-one with the clients, and that's a very independent line of work. If you haven't guessed it, I don't like being told what to do. The number 3 of things that you need to understand about me is that I see things very long-term. I try to look at things in a very wider perspective, and because of that, I don't see having a house, having to pay rent each week as a burden. I see it as an opportunity to expand my income, to do more creative things, to do more client work, to create videos that could potentially lead to different creative partnerships or work or whatever it is. I see this as me taking the next step in life and moving towards something bigger and better. Rather than creating a liability, I look at this house as being an asset. But speaking of this lovely asset of a house, I haven't even showed you this place. My apologies, very rude of me. And I've yabbed on about it for long enough. So without further ado, I give you the inaugural house tour. When I think about the way we used to be. So this is the front room. This is where you start the house. We've got like our little waiting chair here. Sit and wait to be greeted by the house. In this room, the piano. That's where my girlfriend plays piano. She teaches piano as well. And then we go upstairs. These couches are fantastic. I love my TV couch. I get to put my feet up, relax, it's perfect. I really like having my own living room, my own lounge space, just to chill out. It's so nice. This is forever and always my couch, by the way. I've dibsed it. No one who comes into this house, not even guests, can touch this couch. This is mine. But let's have a little bit of real talk right now. So, I want to talk today about the process of moving in. Wait! First, we should finish the house tour, and then I'm going to tell you all about what it was like to actually move out. We'll come back to it later, but for now, let's see the balcony. Now this is our balcony, and I don't want to show you where we live, so I'm not going to show you that side of it, but I want to show you where we get to sit and hang out. Here's our outside balcony that we get to have a social event on, but we've furnished it up. We've got some chairs, we've got everything to hang out, chill out, have a few beers. So this is our kitchen. Now it's quite nice having our own kitchen. I've actually really started to enjoy buying our own food, choosing what we eat, and even making it. People get really surprised when I say that I help out with the cooking around the house. I do sometimes chip in. I'm not very good, but I try. And what was nice about this place is that we got it furnished. So a lot of the stuff in the kitchen came with the house. So the dishwasher, the fridge, the microwave, the kettle, all that stuff came already included in the house. But what's been really nice is some of the stuff that we got to buy ourselves. So like this toaster, for example, we actually bought ourselves, and we were really happy with that because it's quite retro, it's nice and funky. We've got a knife set ourselves. I bought a toasty maker. We've got this awesome, this cool like skull head for serving drinks in. So that kind of stuff's been really fun. It's also been really fun filling up the pantry, right? Making it full of all the kind of different food that we want to actually eat. That's been a lot of fun, but also quite interesting. And then the laundry over here is, that's been an experience, learning how to do my own laundry and having to do it regularly. But I don't mind doing it. It's kind of like a pastime, you know, you fold the laundry, you hang it up, blah, blah, blah. It's one of those necessary things that I've gotten used to, and I don't mind. And next, on our way out of the kitchen, we go to the dining area, which we haven't really used much because we just haven't had a lot of guests around, and that's all you really would use it for. And then next to that, we have the little morning tea kind of chill out, hang out area that once again, we haven't used too much, mainly because that space, we had a lot of stuff on the couch that we needed to put away. We also had these posters to put up, and putting these pallets behind the couches actually worked really well, as you can see. So there you go, a little bit of a DIY. I guess you can call me Handyman Dan, huh? I think I missed my calling. I shouldn't be making films, should I? All right, upstairs. When I look at what I've done, now that we're apart, when I look at what I've won, I've come so far. I know I'm so much better off, and baby, you don't belong. So coming out of the bathroom here, we come through this area and we get to my bedroom. Now, this is where we sleep. Very nice. We got a lovely quilt cover. We actually got that recently, so hopefully it goes well with the aesthetic. And yeah, we're quite happy with this room. It's a bit more spacious than my last room, but even though my last room, maybe it was bigger, maybe not, this one feels bigger because at the very least, there's not a desk in here. I'm not trying to do work in here every day. This is just a bedroom. So in terms of where we just sleep, there's a lot more space for us to do that. And this is our upstairs balcony. But yeah, we've got a nice little place here where we can put our feet up and, you know, nice little place to put our feet up and chill, have a couple of drinks, sit out, watch the sunset, etc. Now finally, we go to my office. Yes, this is where I get all of my creativity done. It's where I work, it's where I put all of my creative ideas onto a pen and paper. Really, it's my laptop. And then I bring them to you in video form. Now over here, we've got my wall of photos, and eventually that's gonna be totally full, but right now it's a nice little backdrop for the videos. I've obviously got my big video lights here, here, and here, and that lights my beautiful face. We've got a bunch of teddy bears here, which we really love, and we're happy that we could give a home. In this room here, we've got my gear closet. Now this is where I keep all of my lenses and my spare cameras and stuff, my drones and everything else that I might need. Obviously my desk. Now this desk came with the house, and it's actually quite I've really enjoyed. It's a nice working desk. My chair is really nice. I had that already, but this chair here came with the house, and that's where Connor sits when we do the podcast. Over here we have actually a toilet, because this room, this office room, actually was originally the master bedroom, and that's why it has an ensuite toilet and a big walk-in closet. But we decided that having that bigger space and using it for the office, our creative space, would be better for us, because we're both creative people, we both enjoy making things, and plus the upstairs bedroom has a balcony, so we figured that would be better for our bedroom anyway. And then finally we've got Kath, creative stuff. She's got a model here. She wants to do like fashion designing, got her work desk there, as well as another work desk to do some computer stuff, and that's pretty much the room. So that is it. The house. You've seen everything. This is where I live. This is all ours. It's very nice to have. I hope you've enjoyed the place. But before we end the video, I want to go back to the couch. I want to just tell you exactly how we actually moved out, what the process was, what we went through, what we learned, just the different hardships of figuring out how to live independently at 19. Okay, he's back. So what was it actually like to move out? Well, firstly, it came to actually wanting to do it. My girlfriend and I had been talking about moving out for quite a long time. We actually wanted to do it last year, but at the time I didn't have the money, a stable enough job to be able to continually have the money. It just wasn't the right time for us or our relationship. But fast forward to this year, my income is a lot more stable, my job's a lot better, our relationship was doing better than ever, and we said, you know what, we're gonna have the money. I think it's time that we do this. We move out, we get our own space, we have the independence, it's time. Now my girlfriend already lived out of home, so she had rented for about 2 years with her 2 sisters, but I hadn't done it yet. So when we went looking around, it was definitely a new experience for me. I hadn't gone to like home opens before. I was very overly nitpicky about certain places. I'd look and I'd say, okay, how many outlets do they have in each room? You know, I get really specific on certain different parts of the house. And now that I actually live in my own place, I do think that I was a little bit overcautious, which is only saying I got from my girlfriend, by the way, so she should be proud of me. Anyway, we went to a few different home opens, we had a look. We saw a couple places, we looked in suburbia. Some of them were kind of nice, they had their upsides, they had their downsides. It was all kind of a bit like, meh. And then ironically, when we found this place, it's not quite suburbia, but it's not quite in an urban area either. It's in a nice little middle ground, because it's right near the shops, it's walking distance from the shops, but it's not, we can get to sleep at night, you know, there's not sirens and drilling and all that crazy stuff going on 24 hours a day outside. Anyway, we ended up seeing this place. This place is more of an apartment than a house. Before we were looking at mainly houses, the highest we would go was like 300 bucks a week for rent or something like that. After about a week and a half of looking, we were like, okay, we're gonna expand our search a little bit. We started looking at houses that were just outside of our bracket of comfortability, and we went and looked at a few apartments. Now this place was not actually originally somewhere we were going to look. We looked at an apartment down the road that was kind of similar, but a little bit different. And we looked there and we were like, okay, it's all right, it's not perfect. And the estate agent said, well, actually I've got another place that's just up the road. Would you like to come have a look? We had never heard of it. We said, okay, you know, sure, why not? And ironically, and I will always hold this over Kat's head, but she was quite skeptical of coming to see this house. And I was like, let's just give it a shot. At the very least, it's gonna give us an idea of what the different houses are like, what the competition is. And she eventually said, okay, fine, we'll come. And we go. And we came to this house, we had a look, we went around, and we were finishing up the tour, and the lady says, okay, thanks guys, she says, you know, we'll be in touch. And she turns around and Kath just looks at me and goes, I really like that one. And so we kind of accidentally found this house that really was perfect for all of our needs. It was a really nice space, and it just really felt to us like the perfect one. It was the one that we found it and we knew. You know, sometimes you don't know, but you don't know until you do know. And then when you do know, you know. Anyway, so that happened and we had to sign the lease. And unfortunately, because I had never rented before, my dad had to co-sign on the lease. So on the lease is me, my dad, and my girlfriend, which I do understand because it was my first time, as well as we're a couple. So, you know, if we were to break up, even though the lease is only for 6 months, we could screw up the entire lease rental agreement for them. So I understand their caution. So we signed the lease, we paid the deposit, and then it was down to moving day. And moving day was definitely stressful. So tomorrow, my girlfriend, Kathleen, and I move in to our own house. It's insane and exciting, and it means that tonight is the last night that this room is my room. So naturally, I'm going to Connor's house. All right, cheers. Here's to moving on, moving out, and making awesome at the new house. That's right. Let's do it. Morning. Connor's let me borrow his car, thank goodness, because there's no way I could do this in my little dinky car. I've lived in this room for 5 years, you know? I've lived with these people for nearly 20 years, and now it's time to finish. But it's time to move on and build a new life for and by myself. And it's scary, and it's daunting, but it's exciting. There we go. Okay, so we're really late. We're running about 2 hours behind, but we still got the whole day, and that's pretty much all my stuff now packed, and we can focus on Kath's stuff, and then we'll be moved in. So it's a day of a lot of change, let me tell you that. Let's go get Kath. At that point, I was still kind of nervous. I was still unsure. I think I let that get the most of me because I was not very put together on moving day. I wasn't overly emotional, I just wasn't organized. And I think that really stressed Kath out on that day. She actually wrote a blog post about it. I can put that in the description if you want to read it. She was definitely stressed out by that day, and by the end of it, so was I. In the end, we got everything here, pretty much everything. I think there were like a few things that we went and got over the next week after we moved in. We got it all there in one day, and it was a busy day, it was a hectic day, but by the end of it, we were just so happy to have done it, to have moved in and just to have a place together. And yeah, once we did that, you know, we were moved out. It was kind of a weird feeling not sleeping at my parents' house anymore, not sleeping in the bedroom that I had come to know for so long. But one thing that is really strange is in my parents' house, my bedroom was kind of like my house, whereas now this whole house is a little bit like my bedroom. And I know that doesn't fully make sense, but I feel more connected to all the different rooms in this house, and I feel more responsible for them. Whereas in the old house, I only felt responsible for my bedroom. So that's a really interesting feeling now that I have all of these rooms to think about keeping clean, and you know, they're rooms that kind of belong to me. But yeah, so now we're here, and it was a weird experience for sure, but definitely one that I appreciate having had. About a week after, or maybe half a week after we moved in, I went back to my parents' house to get just the last few things that I had to get. And on the way out, I was at the door and my mum gave them to me, and we just both broke into tears, and we had this big crying hug that was just so sweet, and it was, you know, the final goodbye, and it was very emotional, and it was in a way sad, but at the same time it was a happy sad, you know, because she knew I was moving on. She knew that the fact that I was moving out meant that, you know, I must be making success in some way. I knew that she really loved me and that she cared for me, and that I wouldn't have been able to move out if it hadn't been for all the support that she'd given me over the years. So yeah, and then we made it here. I had to learn cook a bit more. I had to learn to do a bit more of the washing, a bit of the hanging up, a bit of the folding, all of that sort of stuff, and that's been interesting, but that's just stuff you learn. It's part of growing up. You learn it and then you're a better person, and that's kind of how life works. The diet's been interesting because we've now obviously been cooking all our own food. We've been choosing what we eat, which is really nice because you actually get to choose your own diet. And even though sometimes we've been a little bit unhealthy with whatever takeaway or bigger portions, I feel that we've now been able to make sure that we control our portions a bit better, we eat a bit healthier. I've been able to do more exercise. In the mornings I wake up, I go for a run. I run about 40 kilometers a week, or at least that's my goal at the moment. Sometimes I fall a bit short, admittedly. And then work-wise, I can do my work whenever. I don't have to worry about bothering anyone, or I don't have to worry about anyone making noise, interrupting me. Right now, I couldn't film during the day in my parents' house, but here I can film in any room at any time of the day, and that just works, and that makes me feel really good. It makes me feel really proud of having the space that I can just do what I want. The last thing I'll say is that one thing that's been really, really good about moving out is having a workspace and office and a bedroom being separate, because before, my bedroom was where I did all my work, it's where I did all my filming, and if you look at a lot of like productivity tips, they say that that is a really bad way to have your life laid out, because now that I have my office, when I'm in my workspace, I'm not thinking about, oh, maybe if I get tired, I can just go and sleep on the bed that's right over there in the same room. And when I'm in my bedroom, I'm not feeling bad because, oh, should I be going to sleep or should I be at my laptop working, blah, blah, blah. Now that I've separated those areas, it's really so much easier for my head and my headspace, and it's made it a lot easier to both be creative and then relax when I'm going to sleep. So yeah, having rooms in a house helps. And there you have it, my reasoning as to why I moved out, what I like about it, what I enjoy, how I actually did it. Would I recommend moving out? Well, I did it, so yeah. I mean, look, ultimately it's up to you. Honestly, do what's best for you. But I'll say that at the time, I was definitely nervous. I wasn't sure if it was the best thing to me, but now that I've done it and I've tasted it, boy oh boy, do I not want to go back. I just like having my own space, and I think the money is worth what you get in terms of freedom, independence, and just your own space. This creative space, which you're gonna see a lot of videos coming out of, by the way. But that is everything. That is the video. Done, finished, Dunsky. Thank you very much for popping by. I'm glad you stuck around to the end. I'm Danielisweird. This has been my world. As always, feel free to check any and all of these links around me. And if you've enjoyed this video, why don't you subscribe to see more? Give it a like. Why don't you leave a comment? Anything and everything helps. Thank you very much. I will see you in the next one. Until next time, stay weird. Bye.